All right, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So, today we're going to be talking about a pretty interesting topic, one that I have had hours of conversation on lately, and had just like quite a bit of progress on the idea of being a man and when do you become a man? And I think that's, something, it's a question that I've thought about for such a long time, for the past few years, especially in the start of my 20s, from when I was about like 21, 20, yeah, from about 21. It's been, and I'm 25 now. So it's been like a question that's been on my mind for like the past 4 years. And that's, it always creeps in. It's not there every day, but it always creeps in. And that's just like, am I a man yet? You know, because it's interesting. There's lots of other cultures out there, um, you know, even religions that have very clear structure and ideas and ideals, masculine ideals, for young boys to follow. And there's even like rituals in some cultures. Like my best friend, he ascribes to Kosa culture. And in Kosa culture, you go to the bush when you're 18. And 18 so young, but you go to the bush when you're 18 to become a man. And it's a whole ritual. It's the ritual of becoming the man. It's the transition from boy to man. And we don't have that in the Western world. We don't, in like a Western modern culture, you don't have any of these transitions. You don't even have the conversation. You don't even have, like, for me, I didn't even have any male role models. So you just left like, no one has told you a single damn thing about what it means to be a man, when you become a man, how do you be a man, what is a good man, what is a bad man, what is a great man, even is a man, and how does this magical thing happen? Does it ever happen? Is it all bullshit? Is it a myth? Like, you don't even know, you know? And it's just really interesting. It's a really interesting idea. It's a really interesting conversation. And I had this conversation with my friend. We're the same age. We're both 25. He's gone to the bush since he went to the bush when he was like, I think past 18. He went to the bush a little late. But irrespective, there's a ritual that you go through. And you come out the other side and you're regarded by the community, you're accepted, you're acknowledged by the community, as a man. And that's it. End of the story, book closed. Boom, I'm a man, done. There's none of this like philosophizing and intellectualizing. And I think in a Western world, like right now, at least for me anyway, you're just left to like the you just have to believe it. It's so annoying, it's so frustrating. No one makes the decision for you. No one tells you you're a man. A lot of people will be like, that you disgusting toxic masculinity. What do you mean you're a man? Like, oh, you guys talking about like being men? Like, what, like, oh, like you want to be a man? Like, what does that mean? Like, is that toxic masculinity? Is it like, like it's such a loaded topic, but but it's so fucking funny because, well, we are guys and we are men, and we're young men at the moment, and on top of that, clueless. We're clueless young men, and there's almost this refusal, this absolute refusal to give any guidance to young men about what it means to be a good man. Like, why are we villainizing these things? So I'm here today to talk about this topic, and hopefully get people thinking a little bit, get some young guys like myself thinking about this idea, because Lord knows I've spent countless hours thinking about it. And recently I've had hours of conversation on this very topic, and I've written down pretty much a summary of what I believe it means to be a man. So, firstly, understanding, where your ideals come from. So, your masculine ideals, like how would I, how do you define what a man is? Because for everybody, that's going to be different, and that's okay. It doesn't have to be the same thing. You know, in Xhosa culture, it's different. In Western culture, it's different. In maybe like Hinduism or other religions, it's going to be, there's different definitions of what a man is, and that's fine. You know, you don't have to ascribe to any of these ideas. You can define what a man is for yourself. You know, and there's even the argument to be made that great men don't exist, only great people do. So like great people exist. You know, it's not purely about being male, but you know, you cannot deny that there are masculine factors for men, for real men like myself, that play a huge role in how we feel, in how we act, in how we carry ourselves. So this idea of being a man, it's a really powerful idea, and I think it needs to, I think we need to reignite the idea of being a man as a powerful, positive idea for men, for young men to be able to latch onto and be like, finally, I have some guidance, because there's no guidance. There's zero guidance. You're left on your own to rot and to swirl and to spin and to just be confused. And then, you know, what do even young men end up doing with their lives anymore? What do any men end up doing with their lives anymore? You know, in these first world countries, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. There's no guidance anymore, which isn't a bad thing. I think there was a lot of toxic ideals that had to be done away with, but we've done away with, you know, the baby and the bathwater. Like we've done away with all of it. It's all gone. All the structure's gone, and having a clear slate is beautiful. But we need to seize the opportunity to now define for ourselves what being a man means, you know? So I think understanding, first off, understanding what your values are and understanding your idea of being a man, what that means to you, um, you know, and what's created these ideals that you have. You know, is it childhood traumas that have created this idea of the man that you need to be? You know, is it past experiences? All these things. Is it religion, culture, external expectations? Big one. I made a video on external expectations, which you're welcome to go check out as well. So there's lots of powerful external factors, internal experiences that we've witnessed, like growing up, traumas, all these things that can change the idea of who we think we need to become, of the man that we need to become, of what a man is, and all of these things. And the idea is, you know, it's a ball of yarn, and you need to go and take a look at it and start untangling it and looking at it for yourself and going, okay, that thread's not mine. That thread is mine. That thread's not mine. That one isn't mine, but I agree with it. Cool. And you kind of create your own idea of what a man is, who you want to be, the man that you want to be. And then I'd say that being a man is, once you have defined your values, being a man is holding yourself accountable for aligning yourself, your actions, what you say, what you do, how you think, with those values every day to the best of your ability. So part of being a man is when you stop blaming others and circumstance and take full responsibility for yourself, your life, what you learn, how you think, and who you become. It's an everyday practice, but it's about taking, I think being a man is about taking responsibility for yourself. So instead of blaming other people, blaming circumstance, complaining, making excuses, it's about going, no, I'm responsible for myself. I'm responsible for my life. I'm responsible for who I become, what I say, what I learn, how I think, how I treat other people. I'm responsible for all those things. And I have a clear definition of what my values are. and I'm accountable. I hold myself accountable for aligning myself with those values every day. And at the end of the day, you can sit there and you can ask yourself, did I align myself with my values to the best of my abilities today? And improve every single day. Wherever that answer is no, that's fine. It's okay. It's okay to not be, I think there's another mistake that young men can make, and that's having like an ideal that is godlike and unreachable and the ultimate judge, and it just makes you feel insignificant in every way, shape, and form in everything you do. When you have this ideal of the perfect man that you want to be, it becomes nothing but a tyrant that just looks down in such a judging way over everything that you do. And you're not a man when you become the embodiment of that ideal. You're a man when you can admit and understand that you're a work in progress, and you commit yourself to living this life to the best of your abilities, to treating people the best you can, to actually trying your very best to be the best version of yourself every day. And that's all anyone can ask of themselves. And I think that's what being a man is. I think it's all about taking accountability and taking responsibility. And, they say happiness is the pursuit of a worthy ideal or goal. So it's fine to have these ideals and these goals, but understand that you're a man because you pursue them, not at the end once you've attained them. You become a man in the process. You're a man now, and who you become in the process of pursuing these worthy ideals and goals, that's the gold. That's the fruit of the labor. So I think that's pretty interesting ideas. Maybe some stuff to reflect on, something to think about. So I think there's also, a really good question to ask yourself is, where are you simply making an excuse, to deny accountability and to deny responsibility for being a man? Where are you just trying to avoid failure? That's a great question that I think a lot of us need to ask more often, is where are you trying to avoid failure? For me, for instance, I feel like I'm trying to avoid failure by making my ideal so unreachable that I can blame and I can blame and make the excuse, oh, like I failed because I'm not a man yet, because I haven't reached that ideal yet. It's not because I'm a man and I failed. It's because I'm not a man yet, because my ideal is so far away. And don't worry, when I reach that ideal, everything will be fine. Then I'll be perfect and I won't make any mistakes. But until then, my excuse is, it's because I haven't reached that ideal yet. So it's quite interesting, the ways in which we avoid taking responsibility and accountability for our lives. And I think that's where it all begins, is by being honest with yourself and going, where am I not taking accountability for my life? Where am I making excuses to avoid failure, to avoid a perceived pain, to avoid, not meeting external expectations, whatever it is, I think that's also quite interesting. So, yeah, something else I wrote down, which I found interesting, was, is being a man about conquering the world or about having the courage to submit to it? So I wrote that just because I was thinking, because in your head, sometimes you have an ideal of what a man is, and they're really powerful, and they don't have to take shit from anybody, and they're incredibly independent. But, is that a well-rounded man? Or is a man someone who's willing to ask for help, who's open and clearly communicates his emotions, his fears, his insecurities with his loved ones, who understands that he knows nothing and that he needs the help of other people, and you know, all these other things that make a man. You know, it's not just strength, but there's strength in the acknowledgement of your infancy in this world, you know, and that creates an openness and a willingness to learn. You can't learn anything you think you already know. So I think that's also an interesting idea. And yeah, and being a man's a journey. You know, my friend pointed out to me when we were having this conversation, he said, you know, hey man, I'm starting to pick up, you know, because I told him when I say I'm a man, I feel like I have this sense of imposter syndrome. And he said to me, you know, after explaining myself, we had this whole conversation, and he was like, I'm picking up on something. And I was like, you know, go on. And he said, I'm feeling this pressure to arrive. You know, you'll be a man once you XYZ meet these criteria. Once you like are the perfect embodiment of this godlike ideal that you hold above your own head. You know, there's this pressure to arrive at being a man. Today's the day. I'm a man now, you know, and it denies the whole concept of a journey, where being a man's an everyday practice. It's a journey. You're a man already, and maybe that's the scariest thing. Maybe the scariest thing is the fact that you're a man already, and that's what's terrifying you. And you're not looking for, you're not necessarily, for me, it's like, am I looking for the reasons to define myself as a man, or the reasons to deny myself the title of being a man? You know, am I looking for an excuse to say, I'm not a man yet, thank God? You know, oh, I'm not responsible yet. I'm not accountable yet. I'm not a man yet. You know, is that really what I'm looking for? Because that's a question that I ask myself, and you know, it's a hard question. It's a really hard question, because you know, part of me goes, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. Is I'm avoiding the accountability and the responsibility, and you know, I tell myself that I'm looking for, you know, the definition, the answers. When do I become a man? When do I become a man? But that's like looking for your sunglasses with them on. And a part of you knows they're on, and another part of you is in denial that they're fucking on your face. You know? So that's kind of like the same situation. Is like, oh, when do I become a man? What makes a man? What defines a man? When I can perfectly define what a man is, and when I have all these answers to all these philosophical questions, then, only then, will I be able to be like, okay, now I'm a man. You know, and it's like, it doesn't work like that. It's a journey, and you're not perfect. You're just a human being. And sorry, but that's the facts. You're never going to be perfect. You're never going to be amazing at everything. You're always going to make mistakes because you're human, and it's the beauty of it. It's the beauty of this experience. And being a man is a daily practice. Just define your values and align yourself with them. And as long as you're a force for good, that is all that matters. So, yeah, I think we've covered values, we've covered accountability, we've covered responsibility, we've covered ideals, we've covered the fact that it's a journey, and we've taken a look at whether we're simply making excuses, which is quite likely. So, I think I'm going to leave it there. There's a lot to think about, there's a lot to unpack. But that's as far as I have made it on this discussion on becoming a man, being a man, the fact that you already are a man, and that's the scariest thing, and that it's okay to be clueless. It's okay to not be perfect, and that a real man is just a real human being, and you know when to ask for help. You align yourself with your values as best as you fucking can every single day, and you practice who you want to be every day, and always be a force for good. And I think just with those few things, or even if you picked one of those things, you'd be off to a very good start. So thanks for watching this video. I hope that cleared some things up. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. If you do have any ideas or any comments or anything to add, this is just the start of a conversation. So please add a comment below, and let's talk about it. Anyways, cheers, guys.